All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Trans Cannabis, Veganic Jazzy. So, we have some great stuff that I wanted to dive down into and work with today. So, let's see what all is going on here. All right, so we have this track. I've been able to almost get 42s at the moment, so we're not that off from what I was hoping that we would be able to do for this one, but still, there's still room to improve. Um, I really wanted to see how much better the tuning I can get for this particular practice as well. I was able to start off with about 44, and then I made a few little changes and it brought it back down to almost a 42. And I had made a couple big mistakes because on this particular practice, it starts off with a wet session. They want to see like how well the tires are, part of a challenge when you first start this particular career on this track, different than their other tracks that I had hit before. They didn't have this, so this is kind of cool that they have stuff like this to add to um, your career and the game and the testing of it. It makes it feel really super professional, but it also gives you a challenge of your skills and stuff too, and that really is really cool. So overall, though, like I'm super ecstatic. This game, I'm telling you, like it has just upped my skill levels by about 3 or 4 levels. Each time I play, every single track I encounter, I always think, okay, well, I don't really know the track, or I might know the track, but I might remember it from how I used to drive, which was like with a lot of assists and like the driving line, and those things help in a way, but in many ways, those things do not help very well. And so for the last year, I've been playing with no real assist, no line, driving line or anything. And other than, if I have to have a little bit of ABS or some traction control on, then I'll have those on. But otherwise, like, oh my gosh, like it's super cool to see how much progression and how much more just overall fun and professionalism and playability versus how, years in the past I was always drawn to the professionals that could play without the driving line and were so quick and learned so many different things. And their biggest tips that they always told me was that in order to not get stuck on that, on the driving line and assists and stuff, is don't use them, especially the driving line, because it will mess up like your overall. And I remember meeting a few people. I think I said this in my last stream on Twitch the other day, which is that, I met some people years ago that didn't have the skill levels that they have today until they took off some assists, especially the driving line. And I remember driving with them for years, and they were always so good. And then when they took the driving line off and a few other assists and just really honed in their skills, they were way better than they were before. And then not to say that they weren't good. And same with me. Not to say that I wasn't good. My skills weren't, up to par with a lot of professionalism and games and stuff. But seeing their skills just blossom, and they're getting 2, 3, maybe even 4 seconds faster in different tracks and different weather conditions and stuff versus where they were before with the assist and the driving line. And wow, I tell you, what a difference. And since I've not had the driving line on for about a year, and then I just got my my new computer built and stuff, and now I'm really starting to dive into this game, and the other professional sim racing games and stuff. Like R Factor, and Assetto Corsa, and Assetto Corsa Competizione as well, and yeah. So, and there's of course a couple more. Like the newest one that I can't wait to do a video on and talk about, and also get my hands on as well, is Rin Sport. Now, Rin Sport just had a very big weekend this last weekend. And I hope everybody checks that out. I'll leave some links down below for that as well. I wanted to see how much better that game was. And I was always wondering, like, I was hoping they would have some like early access and some people that would have some alpha access too. And well, they just had this big race this last weekend. And I tell you, the game, I mean, for its beginning stages of being able to be played and being played in tournaments, because this Rin sport is going to be the next big thing. It really is. Its focus is strictly on professional esport racing, simulation racing, car racing, like GT, everything that all the sims are basically, and have realism to the max, obviously. And I would say that the graphics and the different things that were shown, um, like 6 months ago or whatever on Rinsport, and then seeing them now, you can see that they've made quite a change. Not only are the graphics better, but like the tracks look so good. Um, they don't look as cartoony. The colors don't look as cartoony. They look more realistic. The atmosphere looks really realistic. The skybox looks incredible. And the FPS seems to be pretty spot on. It looked pretty smooth, considering that it's still new, it's in its alpha, and it doesn't really have like the full, like you can't do a lot of tuning. You couldn't do a lot of different tire pressures and stuff yet with the cars and stuff. But for the most part though, wow. Rin Sport is definitely a contender. I mean, not only is it a contender, but I mean, it already is keeping up and looking better than most of the games right now that are maxed out and have been out for a while, right? And with the virtual Le Mans and R Factor that happened, about 3 weeks ago, almost a month now, that showed how harsh some of the other games are taking, going into the future. And here, this company doesn't even have the game really out yet. It's not even close to being done at all, but they already had a tournament with real professional drivers, real top sim racers, and real YouTubers um, to come in and race and start, even though they're like, let's say halfway to the halfway point of the game. It already looks and played. And here, the cool thing about this company is that with this game, they're already putting it to the test. So then when it comes out, that they've already worked on these angles massively versus a lot of companies and a lot of other industries. They don't do that kind of homework. I don't see Forza, for instance, and never have. I've never seen Forza Motorsports ever do anything this professional and talk about how professional that they're going to keep their drive, the dynamicness of the cars, the weather, the game's playability, and how much legs the game is going to have overall. The company themselves are talking about each game being between 7 to 15 years per game, because the game, after they release it, will have multiple installations and installs and stuff to the game as it continues to go on, with new cars, new skins, new this, new that, as well as a huge modding capability that they're going to be able to offer just like you would in real life and things, being able to make your own deliveries, your own teams, your own leagues. Um, and since this Rin sport is very heavily based in the center of being an esports professional sim racing game of, I don't want to say of all time, because well, we don't know. Time is ended, so we don't know if it's all time, but as of to date, as it looks and as it chalked up this weekend, I would have to say, wow, I am super blown away with like how professional some of these companies are starting to produce themselves and get into the realism of real simulation and real games without having it being all about particularly the graphics or silly fake video game type play. I also heard a lot about how well they're going to match people and they're going to keep um, penalties and stuff. Like from what I've seen, penalties. You know, if you do something, let's say um, you cut the track a little bit or whatever on a certain area. And normally, one of the penalties would be in real life and in a video game, usually would be that you have a slowdown, you have to slow down or whatever. And you kind of have to pick and choose when that happens within a certain time frame. Well, in this game, just like in real life, if you had that happen, you'd have to slow down right away. Like there's no like way down the road or something, which is really cool. And a lot of times when that happens, you may already be in a position where you're already slowing down anyways. So, like, that is really super cool. And since you can't just get away with whatever, just like in real life, that is really the next step. With a lot of video games, it's just that it feels like a video game. It doesn't seem realistic, it doesn't seem like a simulator. And something like Assetto Corsa versus like Forza Motorsports, obviously we're talking about a professional sim racing game versus a sim arcade sim, I should say. It's not a sim arcade because it's not basis off being a sim. It's more of a arcade trying to be a sim, but not really, and it doesn't claim to be. And what was really interesting before we get started with this practice is what was really interesting is a couple weeks ago when Bethesda and Microsoft had their kind of like a reveal of some games, and one of the games were Forza Motorsports, a little deep diver look at something that the game was supposed to offer a little bit more, and this, that, and the other. But from what I've noticed, they're not at all close to how professional and badass already Rinsport is. And Rinsport um, has not been out as long as Forza Motorsports, has not had the coverage. They have not been working on the game as long. They don't have the ties and connections to everything quite yet, and so on. However, what they do have is a professional team that's a German team creating a very professional game for the world for years and years to come. They're not worried about this particular game being good at graphics and being good at sales. What they're focused on is why they are game makers themselves versus Microsoft Studios and Turn 10 and Forza Motorsports Company and all them. What's the difference between them and Rinsport, or let's say ACC, is that these companies like Rinsport, let's just keep it to the Rinsport, is that Rinsport, the company, the owners, the coders, the animationers, the everybody, the whole team, most of the most hardcore people that you would see in simulation esports, e-racing, simulation racing in general, this is that team that is literally building this game. They themselves are passionate about being professional sim racers, having a professional game and having professional esports tournament competition that's taking it way beyond creating that the esports becomes real life and real life becomes the esports, meaning head to head, and then creating a whole nother next level of motorsport racing in general, right? So that is super exciting. I am ecstatic how well, and I hope everybody takes a few minutes to check that out. After this stream is over, I'll put the links and everything. But for the time being, make sure you all go to Rin Sport and check it out. It's definitely worth the input, and I cannot wait for the beta release coming soon. So I'm excited to get a copy. I got a notification that it will be coming out soon. So, but at the moment with the new race and stuff that just happened this last weekend and stuff, wow, am I more excited than ever seeing that race. I mean, I didn't even get to watch it all. I've only watched maybe like 15 minutes of it because it's like a 7-hour race on Saturday, and then it was like a 4.5 or 6-hour race on Sunday. And wow, I was super blown away how well the game already is playing and how well the game looks overall. Again, there is some stuff that needs to be done. It's early access. So, there's so much more to be gained. But when you look at where we are now with Assetto Corsa Competizione and some of the other ones that are already been out for, years, of course, it's definitely a breath of fresh air, clean fields ahead, and clean air. Yeah, I really look forward to what's to come. So cheers, everybody. Let's get started with practice here. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. It's a beautiful day. And I look forward to so much more. Cheers, everybody. Cheers.
Green light, go, go, go. Pirelli have asked for wet tire set test with attendance from all teams in order to bring improvements to their future products. Driving the cleanest way possible, but with good pace. You will be evaluated based on your best level of track. All right, so here we are, and we're off.
we're looking pretty good so far. Oh my gosh, other than me coming in way too hard on that. I remember getting these on the first couple laps, especially when it's like really wet like this. I didn't think I would like love this track, but like this track is really super cool. There's just really something magical about this track. I didn't expect it to like be one of my favorite tracks, but it actually is. It's fun to drive. It's got a really good flow to it once you get it. Yeah, satisfying. Woo! All right, on our way. No! Oh! Saw that coming. Felt that coming. Alright, so how do I link in? No!
Car on the right. Clear on the right. Car on the left. Clear on the left. Car on the right. Clear on the right.
So let's keep it clean. Let's keep it clean.
This is Mark Mercedes.
That one was scared. It's a little bit all over the place. It's alright. Doing good, doing good.
Green light, give it all you can. Pirelli have asked for wet tire set test with attendance from all teams in order to bring improvements to future products. Drive in the cleanest way possible, but with good pace. You will be evaluated based on your best lap on track.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Alright, so. Let's see if we can get that. 42. Now we're starting to feel it a little bit better. Pushing it way too hard, especially on the third lap. Alright, fourth lap will definitely be my best lap. I guess it's only first lap technically. Way too hard on this corner. Way too hard. Come on. dang it. No! Yes, yes, yes. All right. Let's see if I have that. Tune that.
Green light, go, go, go. Pirelli have asked for a wet tire set test with attendance from all teams in order to bring improvements to their future products. Drive in the cleanest way possible, but with good pace. You will be evaluated based on your best lap on track.
All right, so easy does it.
Car on the left, gear on the left.
Go, 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 go. No! Gosh, I have not had this many problems on here before. Gosh. Just gotta take it easy on the first beginning. That's all. Just keep wanting to push it so hard. again. Gosh, damn it. Oh, gosh, damn it. Ugh. It's gonna have to stick to that one particular way that I know how to do that. I keep on trying to go past what I think I can do on that. It doesn't work. It's just too fine of a line, especially when it's that wet. There's just no way you're gonna get it. However, it was really worth a try to try and get it close, but still needs a lot of work. Okay, so
Green light, go, go, go. Pirelli have asked for wet tire set tests with attendance from all teams in order to bring improvements to their future products. Drive in the cleanest way possible, but with good pace. You will be evaluated based on your best lap on track.
pushing it way too hard. Not bad for this round right here. Now I think I see something. Still getting my 43s, but I saw something at the end that I didn't see before that I could have applied. So let me try this again on that. That's definitely worth probably at least a second or two on that side, because once you start losing that traction on that one side, like, oh my gosh, you cannot get it back. So I think me changing that aspect a little bit, change the handling just enough, especially after like the 4th to 5th lap, that's when I can really start to dive in. All right, let's hit this again. That's a lot of fun. Learning so much here. Just gotta remember not to push it too hard.
Pirelli have asked for wet tire set tests with attendance from all teams in order to bring improvements to their future products. Drive in the cleanest way possible, but with good pace. You will be evaluated based on your best lap on track.
Such an amazing game. Thank you everybody for joining me. We're about to have a very good practice here. Just wanted to try and tune a little bit. Practice every Wednesday is practice and tuning. So thank you everybody for joining me today. Alright, so I'm gonna try this. I think I figured something out when I was on my last lap. Didn't think of this before. Okay, so it does work. Oh, I just figured something out. Okay. And I'm only on the first lap to try that too. Or 0 lap, I should say. Woo! was blazing fast for the first lap. That's looking so much better. The first lap. Technically second lap, but don't really count that first one because the first one's like your out lap. 0 lap, I should say. Went a little bit wide on that last turn, but still looking pretty good. Way too hard on that corner. Saw that coming. just too hot. Can't really help but to like really try to push in that last area, but there's still such a consequence to trying to do that. All right, so definitely still getting my 43s. I know I can really approach that 42s. Try a couple more times here. But way to go, way to go. I'm gonna actually change something out, actually. I think there's something holding back. Now that I see that back area, and as long as I don't over push it in that one section, ultimately we'll be okay. So just not overdo it.
Green light, give it all you can. Pirelli have asked for wet tire centers with attendance for all
Right,
teams in order to bring improvements to their future products.
I hope everybody's
Driving
doing
the
good
cleanest way
today.
possible, but with good pace.
Very beautiful
Be
day.
based on your best lap on track.
And oh my gosh, I am really starting to love this track. I never really thought this track would grow on me the way that it did, but so cool. I love the feel of it. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. That first lap, I tell you. I turned down the traction control a little bit early. Normally I don't turn it down until like the third lap, but I want to try and test myself at this level earlier. There we go. Oh my gosh. Alright, so I just learned something else. Wow, alright. Interesting. All right. I totally just learned something. That was really cool. Oh my gosh. We'll test it on this lap right here. See about that. Oh my gosh. to hit that right. Woo! There it is. Oh my gosh. I totally think I can get a 42. Totally blew that. Oh my gosh. That was a pretty good one. Do one more after this. That's really good. This lap was not the best, but yeah. I love this back section here. Still got my silver set. Still getting my low 43s for sure. Yeah, I definitely. Let's see. I mean, everybody else. I mean, this is what's shocking to me. How am I only getting silver when I'm like 2 seconds or more ahead of everybody? But I know that I can get that 42. So I just push it too hard in the very beginning to to lay it down, and then by the time that I'm able to lay it down, if I don't blow that last 4th and 5th lap, it seems to go like really well overall. So just gotta remember not to blow that. Those laps in the very beginning, it's really the most crucial, I think, for the tires, because even though I'm on slicks and it's a bit wet in the very beginning, how you break them in the very beginning of the warm-up lap and stuff really determines how well the tires like are there. So you have to be very careful and just tiptoe for those first 2 to 3 laps.
Green light, go, go, go. Pirelli have asked for wet tire centers.
It's so cool, like Pirelli gives you like this challenge, and like most people would probably not like the challenge, but personally I think it's really cool because like not only does it help your skills, but it helps you learn like all kinds of different things about the tires themselves, the car, the way it handles, the weather, and all the other stuff too. So it ultimately is probably one of the most coolest training gifts they could really give you. I know most people would be like, oh, this is just annoying. Not really, I think it's more crap. Oh my gosh. Let's do that real quick. Boom. All right, let's try that again. Yeah, I'm talking about being careful on the first lap and I go into that turn all sideways practically. Not really though, it wasn't like I came in there that hot, but that guy slowed down so quick. I was like, should have just pulled off in the grass. All right, so here we are. What a beautiful crowd we got out there today. I can almost smell the rain on the asphalt and on the track right now. It's kind of crazy. Here we go. It's only the 0 lap, but still. Still not warmed up on those tires yet, but soon as like the main area of the track starts to dry out, you can feel how much better. I was trying to go a little lower on my traction, but with it being still just slightly pretty damp on the track, it's a little hard. It's only second lap too. So. There it is. Come on, come on. This tire is super red. too hard on that corner, just ever so slightly. Totally blew that. Oh my gosh. That was gonna be a really good lap until I blew it. But still getting, oh my gosh, I'm still getting my 43s. 43, 420 up there. Alright, so let's hit this one more time. That's pretty good though. I mean, I'm definitely almost getting my 42s, that's for sure. I mean, the 42s are right there. And obviously, I'm not going to be able to get the 42 necessarily within the first 4 to 5 laps, but it's really proving more and more overall how much I can get away with. I still think this other little bit of a tune change will help calm that back end down a little bit, because there's just a few sections, like even when it's not so wet, it's still like a little bit wompy. And I feel like that kind of plays into the overall grip, if it really is going to stay within the right range in the right dry portion, or if it gets too close to that that edge of where it almost hydroplanes in that one area. And I do notice that, like, if you don't brake very hard and you try to trail brake in the long distance going into that turn and that back section, as long as you don't trail brake too hard, it won't let that back end slide a little bit. But it just seems such a fine line between like being able to really get that close enough to where it doesn't get stupid, but then far enough to where you're still pushing it, you know, without it pushing you off the track. Oh my gosh, I love this game. It's so cool. I mean, I love the simulator, because it ain't no game, that's for sure. This is so amazing. So much to learn. I'm gonna try lowering my traction right off the bat, just so I can get used to this.
Car on the left, rear on the left,
clean air here. Wait a couple laps, get everything heated up. Oh my gosh, I totally just blew that corner. I blew the corner in all the wrong ways. Come on, keep it there, keep it there. A little bit of drifting, a little bit of drift. Come on, come on. Let's go, let's go. Yes, yes, come on, come on, come on. Woo! Oh yeah, come on, come on. Woo! No! Finally, I hit that corner. Too hard, too hard. Oh my gosh. Still blew it. Darn it. I definitely had a 42, but let's try this again. I definitely had a 42 because I had a 50. It was like a 0.56 or whatever ahead of my lap time before, and then I made that mistake again, and then I ended up catching all the way back from 0 all the way back up to like 40 on that. So we'll do this one more time. It's just so good. Get a little cannabis back going. So cheers, everybody. Cheers. You know, what really is interesting too is like when you come around a certain corner, there's like, I'm still like on the last turn especially, I'm still trying to configure how to hit that last turn more into the corner as opposed to coming from outside and staying on the outer edge as you go to turn around. And I still think like staying from the inside and cutting the way of the inside is a much better coming out of the turn, especially when you set yourself up for the finish line. So that's something I didn't see before until I saw the right way to hit it. And then once I hit it that way, oh my gosh, talk about like instantly better. Sets you up so much better for the straightaway and for the finish line too. So overall, like, I would really say this was like a really positive overall learning, because I didn't expect that this track would particularly have kind of a training test with Pirelli like that. I mean, that's really cool. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention about the Rennsport too that I saw is that they were talking about how not only will they be implementing new tires and different parts of the season, there'll be new parts added, just like in real life, and upgrades and changes to the real life racing and stuff. And I thought that was really interesting too, because like there's some new development tires that are going to be hitting the market, or at least hitting the racing market. And they were talking about how they were going to have those compounds and some other futuristic ones that have yet to, be announced and stuff that they're going to be having in the game and stuff. So I thought that was really, really good of them to focus that heavily on something so professional. So I had to have, something to look forward to. That was one of the other things that I thought was really amazing about what they said was like, oh, look how much more we have to look forward to with like every month to every couple months, there'll be a pretty big upgrade to the game and to the cars and different things. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. And as they keep pumping out further, getting closer and closer to having the release of the beta, yeah, I definitely feel interesting that by the time that we actually get the game to play it, would have already played a little bit. We've already seen this last weekend a really big race, which taught everybody a lot.
Green light, go, go, go. Pirelli have asked for wet tire centers with attendance from all teams in order to bring improvements to their future products. Drive in the cleanest way possible, but with good pace. You will be evaluated based on your best lap on track.
You go, boys and girls over there. How amazing would it be to be right there at the stands? I mean, you're like right at the inner pit area. I mean, the exiting of that pit area, and you can see like right there by the finish too. Like, holy crap. It's the spot to be. Oh yeah, and something else that I wanted to mention too, but that I was riding the Game Makers Ren Sport and whatnot. I told them that like it would be really cool if they were able to put spectator mode to where you could walk around the track at designated areas and you can like have a seat in the stands and check out the race and hang out with people. Like, I thought that would be so cool. And they said they'd already been thinking a little bit about something about that before. To implement more real life, so then you can hang out at the pits, and when you get out of the car, like when your teammate and you are like in the middle of the race and like you have your driver exchange to do your pit, they were talking about how you'd have your first person and third person view during that time to optimize your experience and the realism in which would be in real life. And I thought that was really interesting that they were already considering those moves, implementing those moves into the game so early. And they definitely took my advice on hand and thanked me for taking interest to talk about that, because that is something that they had wanted to help bring way different than the other games that are out. And I thought that would be really special. And then also, I wanted to have it too where you could get in the car, if the car allows it, to have a second driver, to have a second person in the car, and they can experience the race and the driving too on occasions or something, like during practices or something. And that would be really super cool. And or you just get to drive with your friends and hang out and have one of them in the car. Like, that would be so cool. Or vice versa, of course. You're in their car and you're hanging out. Here we go. First lap. Woo! That's a huge mistake, and I still saved it. Woo! Come on. Woo! Woo! Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Still need to get that last turn down. No! It's a good save. I'm glad I didn't get any more out of control there. You know, I kind of like the fact that I push it in certain areas because at least I'm learning what to do when that time happens and if I can save it or not. And if it's worth it, pushing it, knowing that I might have that issue. Come on. No, no, no. Alright, so I got one more lap. This lap was shot, but that's okay. We're trying different things here, so just to see, and it's worth trying to practice and stuff. Oh. Big drift, big drift. Mowed some grass. Hope the grass is okay over there. Alright, last lap here. Here we go. Last lap. as I blow it. Oh my gosh. It's alright. It's alright. It's just practice. Have fun. We really got what we needed out of this for today. This is the area I'll be practicing quite a bit through the week before Friday. So this will end today's practice for now on Misano. So no worries on that, but yeah, make sure that you come back and catch me again on Friday. And then Saturday will be the race, because Friday will be qualifying, and then Saturday will be race 1, and then Sunday will be race 2. So we'll see how that all shapes out and how well that comes out too. I'll be practicing later today, and then I'll also be practicing tomorrow and the next day too for the qualifying. But pretty good for today's first practice. Really learning and pushing the different lines and stuff, because there's so many new areas whenever you come to a new track, especially if the elements like the rain or weather or whatever are not optimal, or at least what you're used to. And for me, this being like a new track that I have not had much experience on at all, it's definitely fun and exciting to do your homework through the week. So I've been excited to hit this since Sunday, actually, because as soon as I finished that last race on Sunday, I was looking at what was next, and this track showed that this would be the next track, and I was like, oh my gosh, didn't think it would grow on me as quickly though, and I sure as heck didn't think that it would be as good as the flow. But I like the technical difficulties. I like that last back section when you get to the straightaway and you start getting to the right-handers, and then you get to that last finish line turn. It's so satisfying when you hit those turns properly, and then you come into like your element as you feel your car turning and the tune starting to kick in correctly, and some of the driving skills and techniques that you've learned like over the years and stuff starts to feel very vital, and not only shaping your performance and your skills overall, but giving you new boundaries in which you could really start to push and develop. For me personally, like I feel pretty I'd say like 1 or 2 notches above where I was a couple hours ago, honestly, because it seems like with every track I learn more. And also, again, not having assists like the driving line on and other assists. I usually only have a little bit of the ABS and the traction, depending on what I can handle. If I can keep it within 6 to 7, if it's wet, that's fine. But normally I keep it between like 6 and 5 when it's dry, because it's like way faster, way more grippier, and you don't lose out so easily. But when it's like the elements like it is here, you can really only keep it in like 7 or 6 when it comes to the traction. But I think as I get better with the track and learn more lines and breaking points, because today was like really my first day again with the track basically, and learning the racing lines and stuff of the proper braking lines, and then pushing that element with those lines, allowing me to grow my skills and learn and shape the track as it teaches and gives me more skill points, basically, is how I look at But stuff like that, how I keep blowing certain corners, a lot of it is me testing certain elements of braking markers just to see, like, was the braking marker that I thought would be more proper for the distance and stuff, will this work, you know? So sometimes I'll go a little bit before, a little bit after, and a lot of times I always, like, after I find I don't know, like a good medium for each corner, I'll start hitting those corners with like more maximum velocity just to see like how much further I can really take it. But then also giving me, like you saw earlier, on that last couple of laps, I lost it in that back section and had to like keep it together a couple times. Talk about such a good learning lesson too, like how you're in the middle of a heated race, you're in the middle of, I don't know, maybe the last lap or maybe second to last lap or something, and then something stupid like that mistake. Oh, that was a really good, see, that was the exit I was looking out of that corner. That was perfect. That was textbooks. It really teaches you, especially when you're not in the heat of the moment, how to feel your way around the car and whatever, you know, if it's spun out or fishtailing or drifting or whatever, you kind of have a good feeling with those practicing mistakes to basically rise and raise yourself away from those mistakes further and further each time. And that, to me, is starting to pay off, because there's like a couple occasions when like I've lost a race due to something silly, but I wasn't recognizing like where my tires were at, or the element of the heat of the track, or whatever, right? There's just some miscalculations to stuff that I just didn't equivocate. And once I start doing that, like I did today, yeah, that's when 43s and 42s are more constant. And since now I'm getting for surely my 43s, I'm like right nibbing to 42. I think if I just clean up that back section and don't over push it on the beginning sections, like turn 1 to like 6, as long as I don't hit those too harsh, and I make sure, like I said, I hit that that outer back section, that long section, and don't spin out, those are going to be the two defining areas. But I still think the last real time to make up anything is in that last corner. Because that last corner, like, if you notice, like I'm coming up on it here pretty soon, it takes your momentum. If you just slightly come inside, you gain so much more momentum and more time. But if you stay to the outside, like I was doing a couple times, it seems like the car just G-force wise and everything wants to keep pushing you. And you have to get right into that center or a little bit inner to be able to hit that corner to where it's more like a swoosh through the corner instead of like a long sweep around the corner, which is costing you at least a second or more around that corner alone. Just that right there. I'd say that's worth at least 5/10, maybe even 6/10 onto your lap. So definitely got to do your homework and look at that stuff. See that right there real quick again. That's what I wanted to see. That's why I like watching these replays, is you learn so much. Yep. That's exactly what I thought. wasn't really necessarily a wet spot that I hit. I just ended up cutting too hard while trying to turn and slightly trail brake, and I just hit that trail brake just a little too much and then allowed my momentum as I turned instead of flowing with my turn. I think that quicker turn definitely helps, doesn't help my back end to stay as planted. And I think, like I was saying before, I had learned something, I was seeing something, and I think I got how to hit those things a little better. When I implemented those laps were perfect, but when I didn't implement those, oh my gosh, talk about super hard. Spinning out like what, 3-4 times, and exactly in the same spot too. And it wasn't because it was like slick or hydroplaning or wet right there. It was just flat out the way that I jerked the steering wheel, rather or not I'm on the outside enough to where when I do start to cut into the turn, rather it holds that stability or kind of slaps and sways that end a little bit, which then gives me that fishtail, and then instantly you lose it. Once traction is broke on this section right here, hopefully you don't run into the wall. Yeah, see right here. So critical you slow down at that right juncture. Yep. Either way, though, that was really good. I'm really proud of this so far. So, whew! Way to go! Way to go! All right, everybody. So, a real quick recap and final thoughts here. So, not only did I see some of the other positives of doing your homework, especially when the track is still very new to me and new to whoever, is really going to be the key to this week's race. Hopefully everybody can learn from my mistakes as well, learn from my advice, learn from my tips too, because there's just so much being able to come through that if you just take notes, practice, believe in yourself though. If you're not believing in yourself, it will be super hard to really have the power to really push through. A lot of like confidence and skill level really does come down to believing in yourself. I've noticed this about like some of the top racers too, that if you really, don't look at it like as an ego thing, but as a confidence building momentum builder for each section of the track or qualifying or practice or whatever you're doing, and then when you get to the main races, you have built upon those skills and those levels and stuff, so you can just become that much more and hopefully win your races and learn how to have a really good time. I'd have to say this is one of the greatest times I've had in a while, just learning the track and just having a free practice. So kudos to being able to do things like this, and I hope everybody enjoys their day. Enjoy your Assetto Corsa. Leave any smiley faces and peaceful and nice comments down below if you will. Otherwise, please be nice and respectful. And again, I will see everybody on Friday for this qualifying. We will have 2 qualifiers, so that's interesting. And we will see where we place. I hope I can maintain pushing into that 42. So I think we will. I think I'll be there by Friday. I that's my goal, is to be at least a 42, if not at least a high 42, and a super low 43, even though I pretty much got a really low 43. And I had, when I was in the 43, almost a second on one of those laps. Other than me pushing it too hard, would have easily got my 42 and possibly have been very close to a 41. So, whew, exciting. Super exciting, everybody. Well, anyways, this has been a lot of fun. I am the unicorn girl. So I thank you for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. Peace and love. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for joining me. Until next time, you have been brought down to a fun vibe level with me, trans cannabis veganic Jazzy. So until next time, everybody, toodles!